In this activity, you'll develop a deeper understanding of yourself. This self-awareness means we can be more effective and authentic as a leader, and as such is a foundation of human leadership. We'll focus on 4 of the key aspects of self-identity that we've been exploring: strengths, weaknesses, values, and purpose. We'll begin by exploring your strengths. First of all, we will reflect the experience of flow, as this can help us get a fresh perspective on our strengths. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, the psychologist who coined the term flow, defined it as the state in which people are so involved in an activity that nothing else seems to matter. This is an experience that most of us will be familiar with, and flow can be found in a huge variety of activities. We may experience flow while being absorbed in a great conversation, while analysing spreadsheet data, or getting in the zone while playing tennis. In flow, we can achieve more, learn faster, be freed from anxiety, and experience a range of positive emotions from satisfaction to elation. Flow is also linked to improved quality of life, increased self-efficacy, and a stronger sense of self. An interesting characteristic of the flow state is that time can seem distorted when we are in it. Hours can seem to fly by, or can slow down, so we feel like we're in a total, relaxed control of what is happening in the present moment. When we are using our strengths, we are far more likely to experience flow. The following questions will help you consider your own experience of flow. What are your favourite activities, inside or outside of work? You might consider the favourite aspect of your leadership role that you could fill your day up with if you could. You might think about activities you look forward to doing after the working day's over or at the weekend. It may even be things that you haven't done for a long time because you've been too busy, but would like to spend more time doing them when you retire. Make a list of these activities with some brief notes about why you like each one so much. Pause this video as you do this. Score each activity out of 10 for how much you typically experience flow in these activities, 10 being high and 1 being low. Remember, the flow state is when you are fully involved in an activity so nothing else seems to matter. You feel totally in control, you're deeply positively absorbed in what you're doing, and it may be that time is distorted. The flow state can last for hours, but can also be experienced in much shorter periods as well. Pause this video as you do this. Now, focusing mainly on the favourite activities that you have scored highly in terms of your experience of flow, you're going to look at some words. These describe a variety of strengths and are loosely grouped into themes of delivery, relationship building, and thinking. Choose up to 5 words that you think describe your strengths, bearing in mind that you would use some or all of these when you're getting into flow with your favourite activities. You can also come up with other words that are not on this list, including any of the 5 strengths you identified in the reflection activity earlier in the module. Delivery strengths: achievement, bravery, calm, decisiveness, dependability, flexibility, focus, independence, organisation, patience, perseverance. Relationship building strengths: appreciation, approachability, collaboration, empathy, fairness, generosity, humour, modesty, passion, positivity, sincerity. Thinking strengths: analytical, creativity, consideration, curiosity, detail focus, ideas connector, insightfulness, open-minded, playfulness, principles, spontaneity. Pause the video as you do this, and if you feel constricted by just one word, feel free to add additional descriptions of your strength alongside those 5 words. To conclude this exploration of your strengths, consider the following questions and make a note of your answers. Which of my strengths do I use most effectively in my leadership? What impact does this have? Which of my strengths can I sometimes overplay as a leader, and what impact does this have? Overplaying a strength means that you just rely on it too much, rather than using a good balance of strengths. Also, it can mean using a strength excessively in a way that can be detrimental to performance, well-being, and interpersonal relationships. Which of my strengths can I underplay as a leader? Why might this be? Underplaying a strength means we don't use it as much as we could to fulfill our leadership potential. It may be we use a strength in a home environment more than a work environment, for example. Pause the video as you do this. In the next 3 modules, we will revisit the topic of strengths when relevant and explore practical ways this knowledge can support other awareness, self-management and relationship management. Here are 2 additional activities you can use to build up an awareness of your strengths. Strengths journaling. Over the next few weeks or months, write down the moment of the day that you felt the most energised, preferably adding a little information about why you felt energised. You can record this in a journal, a notebook or a calendar, whatever works best for you. There's also a general notes section of your workbook that you could use. Secondly, after about 3 weeks, look back over these moments and notice what patterns emerge, jotting down any reflections and insights in your workbook. Best self activity. Identify a number of people, ideally 10 to 15, who will be able to give you feedback about when you are at your best. Family members, friends, a manager, manager's manager, peers or direct reports all work well. Explain to each person the purpose of the exercise. Ask them to answer the following 3 questions about you. What do I do well? What 5 words would you use to describe me at my best? And do you have a short story or an example about a time when I was at my best? We recommend gathering this feedback in conversation, but you can also ask these questions via email, social media, or however you like. If you do this in conversation, make a written note of the answers to help you during step 3. If you prefer to use email, you can use the email template as a starting point. Step 3 is to collate all the answers and look through, noticing any patterns that may emerge. Next, you'll get a deeper understanding of your weaknesses, using the same words. As you look over these lists of words, consider the following questions to help guide your reflections. Which of these words do you have a negative emotional response to? It could be that you feel tense when you read it, or bored by the thought of it, or you just feel it's really not your kind of thing. Which of these qualities have you recently struggled with? Which of these seem like the opposite of your leadership strengths? With these reflections in mind, choose up to 5 words that you think describe your weaknesses. You can also come up with other words that are not on the list, including any of the 5 weaknesses you identified in the reflection activity earlier in the module. Delivery weaknesses, relationship building weaknesses, and thinking weaknesses. Pause the video as you do this, and if you feel constricted by just 1 word, feel free to add additional description of your weakness alongside those 5 words. In the next 3 modules, we'll revisit the topic of weaknesses when relevant and explore practical ways this knowledge can support other awareness, self-management and relationship management. If you have any action ideas that you want to make a note of to help you positively address your weaknesses, you can pause the video and make a note of those now. Now we're going to revisit our values, another key aspect of authentic and effective leadership. The list below are typical values that people might identify as important to them. Write them down, adding or adapting any words or phrases as preferred. Family, community, creativity, health and fitness, having an impact on the world, having fun, self-development, hobbies, nature, professional development, friends, life partner or spouse, religion, spirituality, work, travel, achievement. Rank the values in order, with 1 being most important to you and 17 being least important. You can think of your top 5 values as the ones you can use to help guide your behaviour and decisions, and as much as possible and appropriate, your leadership. You can also consider how much you are willing to articulate these to the people you lead, which would be another way to strengthen the authenticity in your leadership. The bottom 5 values could be seen as the aspects of your life you're most willing to forego in order to focus on living in alignment with your top values. You can pause the video as you do this. Next, imagine you've hired a private detective to observe your leadership for the last month. The detective's job is to do the same ranking exercise based on what they've noticed from your behaviour and your communication to the people you lead. Rank the same values in order, according to the private detective's observations. You can pause the video as you do this. Compare the two lists. How do they compare? There's no need for them to be exactly the same, but it can be useful to reflect upon how much divergence there is. Are there any actions you want to take to bring your values more in alignment with your leadership? If so, note these down along with any other reflections about your values. You can pause the video as you do this. In the next 3 modules, we will revisit the topic of values when relevant and explore practical ways this knowledge can support inclusivity, role modelling, and human connections. Now we'll revisit the purpose statements we wrote down in the self-awareness reflection activity earlier in the module. This time, we will focus solely on the purpose statement for your leadership. Answer the following 3 questions, answering each as simply as possible, making sure the answers feel meaningful and positive to you. You can then bring these answers together into one statement. What do I do? Who do I do it for? Why do I do it? Here are some examples of other leadership purpose statements that people have created to spark some ideas for you. To serve as a leader, live a balanced life and apply ethical principles to make a significant difference. This was Denise Morrison, the CEO of the Campbell Soup Company. To be a teacher and to be known for inspiring my students to be more than they thought they could be. This was Oprah Winfrey, founder of OWN, the Oprah Winfrey Network. To have fun in my journey through life and learn from my mistakes. This is from Sir Richard Branson, founder of the Virgin Group. I define personal success as being consistent to my own personal mission statement, to love God and love others. This is Joel Manby, CEO of Hirsch End Family Entertainment. As you can see, these are not a summary of all the roles and responsibilities that a person has, but rather a succinct way of summing up what's motivating and meaningful to them in their leadership journey. Use this checklist to make sure it is as powerful a statement as you can make it, redrafting it as necessary. It is accurate. This is what I think is expected of me. It is succinct, not just a list of responsibilities. It is motivating. I'm eager to get out of bed to do this. It feels personal to me. It reflects my unique contribution. It is ambitious. It will stretch me to be my best. It is articulated in a human way, rather than jargon. You can pause the video as you do this. A purpose statement can take a lot of reflection and redrafting to get it right, so don't rush the process, but continue it after the course as needed. Also, the statement can always be adapted in the future as your leadership evolves, so revisit it regularly, articulate it often, and let it guide your decisions and behaviour. In this activity, we have focused our attention on developing awareness of strengths, weaknesses, values, and purpose. This self-awareness means we can be more effective and authentic as a leader, and as such is a foundation of human leadership. We haven't explored some of the other key aspects of personal identity in this activity: beliefs, mindsets, and personal resources. However, we will return to these topics when relevant as we explore inclusivity, role modelling, and human connection across the coming modules.